Good morning, afternoon.
Are you okay? Is it good?
I think I'll be okay. This is my sick voice that you guys have been.
I feel like this
desperately
is your
wanting to
radio
hear.
voice.
Is this my radio voice?
Good
Evening, everyone. This is Sapphire Steve Carell.
Whoa, who's that? I don't even know.
Steve Carell, when he was a radio.
Sapphire? Is that what he did?
Yeah, he called himself Sapphire Steve Carell.
Knowledge bombs. Thanks, Brad. Look, community catch-up. It's already interesting.
I know, it's already incredible. So Scott Moore is being revitalized right now by his Diet Coke. His morning literally does not start until he has a Diet Coke. He came in the office and he was like, I'm here at the office.
That's
and I was
not
like,
what happened.
I was like, hey, you want to be on the community catch-up? He was like, I don't know. I was like, what if I buy you a Diet Coke? And he was like, okay. He got super excited about it.
That happened.
That does happen. That's how it works. So we're going to power through this. I'm Brad Pluto-Ramey, Assistant Community Manager here at Waystone Games. This is Scott Xairul S.C. Moore, whose title I don't even know anymore.
Assistant producer.
Assistant producer.
I sit right next to you all day.
Yeah, but I don't call you, Assistant Producer, Scott Moore. Can you come over here for a second?
You don't go Assistant producer Xairul Seymour? Come over here?
No, I don't say
Alright,
that. I just
fair
say, hey, loser, come over here.
Whoa.
That's how I commonly refer to you as.
Hashtag please stop.
Don't do the hashtag thing, please.
I'll do it
No.
on stream.
Okay, all right. This is already the worst community catch-up ever.
No, it's the best.
So I'm feeling a bit under the weather. I've got a sore throat, so Scott's gonna do all the talking,
Yeah, no problem.
pretty much. No, I'm not gonna let you carry the show. I'm gonna do the best I can. We're gonna switch this browser window. This scene I think is set up.
We
Boom,
did
there it is. Success. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the community catch-up, what we usually do here, we usually take the first 10 or so minutes to just kind of go through what's going on in the community, what's piqued our interest on Reddit, what we've been talking about, what you guys specifically have been talking about, and then we take the rest of the time to either sit down with DLS to bend our ear with some crazy technical jargon, or in this case,
do you like graphics?
He loves graphics, splines.
Stuff you don't know
things.
what it is.
Yeah, I had no idea. But today we're gonna sit down with Scott. He's gonna tell us about his BlizzCon experience, not our BlizzCon experience, for a little bit.
Spirit.
I was there in spirit. I got sick in spirit too, which is pretty stupid. His hands-on with Heroes of the Storm. He's also kind of photobombing the live BlizzCon stream, which
I was there.
we all thought was hilarious and is the top of Reddit for a little while, at least the Dawngate Reddit. And then Caleb Neccobus Epps, our audio director, is going to come over and round us out with some talk about voice acting and how that process goes, which I'm very interested in because I've always been interested in, like, it's going to sound weird, but people usually do the normal lines, like saying this and that, but the weirdest thing to me is how awkward it must be to make like the grunts and like the death noises and like just like be grunt for a while,
Hey,
and we'll tell you when.
Make sure you grunt with that like proper accent.
Yeah,
too,
get that good grunt. Get that good grunt. So we're gonna talk to Caleb about getting the good grunts, and then we'll close out the stream after that. But first, the roundup. So. The first topic conversation we have here is the Dawngate backgrounds by Moby. These are some really, really well-made backgrounds. There's a whole album here on Imager you can look through. A lot of them Shaper specific, have their ability icons, their Meet the Shaper render, and then a cool little effect that.
I like that the effects that.
Yeah, it's like a
whimsical bubbles.
Is that
it's Dawngate.
Isn't it mathematical? Isn't that a sine line or a cosine or something?
Do I look like Gasty?
No, you do not. You do not have your TI-83 over here. Someone's going to tell me there.
Beep boop sign.
Beep boop, yes, confirmed sign. And Predator Finmore,
cool.
Obviously not the only way to play Finmore. I like the Gladiator Finmore.
Go hard or go home, Brad. Come on.
Go ham. It's signed. See, someone said it was signed. Thank you.
See, I got it right.
Thank you so much. I was the one that said it was signed.
No, you said cosine or sine.
I was like,
and then
it's
I
sine or
said
cosine.
beep boop sign.
You had like a 33% chance of getting it right because you could have said also it's like a tangential line.
I put
even though that's
beep
not
boop.
true.
That showed how confident I was.
I hate you so much.
It's the hunter.
Volek, obviously, Hunter Volek with the ability icons. Cerulean with he's even got spells. Look at that. Tailwind,
solid.
Blitz, Blink. That's all you
Don't
need.
know how to,
That's all
don't know how
you
to play
need.
this character? Buy those. Go.
So they also look at this Petrus. I like this Petrus Salas back to back like double dragon.
Do you know
style.
the tag team back again like rap song from like Mighty Ducks?
No.
You don't know that one?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Should I know
Trevor
that?
knows. Yeah.
Trevor's giving the thumbs up over there.
I don't even know what it's called.
Do you know what it's called, Trevor?
I'll look it up for
He's gonna look it up for us. He'll
It
probably
goes
post it. in
tag
chat.
team back again. Parties people in the house say something. I don't know. I don't know how it goes, but it's like those guys.
Scott Moore, everyone.
It's those
Are
guys.
you talking about like the Bash Brothers?
Whoop there? It's Whoop there. It is.
Oh, okay. I know Whoop there it is.
Yeah, it's these guys.
Okay, so these are the Bash Brothers. Are we calling them the Bash Brothers now?
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty dope.
I don't
That'd
know
be
if
pretty
the lore triumvirate will be happy
Look,
with
see,
us about that.
Andy knows it. Tag team back again. Party people. Let's begin.
Yeah,
Zwill
something like
knows
that.
it.
Sure.
Zwill knows it.
We'll take it.
So
These are cool.
If
These are
we
really
could,
cool.
these are really cool. These are really well done. Thank you to Moby for doing these. They're all 1920 by 1080. So boom. You know.
I know there was another thread. Sorry, we're not pulling it up, but they did some really cool Dawngate art as well. And I was even like, hey, could you throw like Petrus and Kindra in there?
Yeah, you got a custom.
Because those are my favorite, and they were like, yeah, sure, we'll put in the request. And I was like, I've had it on my desktop at work and at home, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you've got Zalgus, you got Zeri, you got Varian, Petrus, and Kindra. I think it started with Zalgus, Zeri,
It was
and
just
Varian.
it was the center,
And
I
you
was just
messaged guy, you were like, hey, put in my favorite ones because I'm Scott Moore, assistant producer.
like, I don't believe that's how it went.
Yeah, you pulled out the badge.
I don't know
you
about
did.
that.
So yeah, those backgrounds are great. Thank you so much, Moby, for doing those. And then we have some high-level discussion going on as well on the Reddit. This is a topic that's been talked about a few times
Since the beginning of the beta.
Yeah, well, I believe the Hunter passive RNG wasn't for the first few weeks, right? I believe we patched it in after a little while.
No.
Or has it been there since the beginning?
I think it's been there since the beginning. We did make
Okay.
one change to the value, but
Maybe that was it.
even really early on in the first couple weeks, this was like a highly posted about topic, and it took me a little bit of digging on the internet, but someone posted about it, so I made sure to repost Gasty, the systems designer, response about it, and then also I just was skimming through a lot of the comments that were there, and it was a good conversation. I liked people's points. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, so what the general consensus here, just to the TLDR of the thread is, so hunters have a percent chance to gain 30 bonus, a 25% chance specifically, to gain 30 bonus Vim when a jungle minion is killed by them. And what people are not liking is, people don't like RNG in a competitive game. It can be a blessing or a curse,
Yep.
you know? And, I believe this is Sheebs. Yeah, it brings up a great point of saying the difference between one guy doing a full 10 camp clear, he could have X bonus Vim over the other jungler that just didn't get lucky enough. He could have a whole item up on them. Or like he could be able to upgrade that, resilience into a pride before.
It usually comes down to like the breaking points where it's now I can buy the pride versus I'm floating, 13 or 1250 gold.
Yeah.
Which I completely understand. I guess my biggest kind of like, I'm not really sure if I 100% agree comes down to the fact that while it's random, we've removed a lot of the randomness.
Yeah, it's pseudo-random.
It's like a 7-layer polynomial or something that Alex uses, such that essentially when you don't proc a 30 gold bonus or 30 Vim bonus, then the chance on the next camp is significantly increased, and if you don't get it again, it's significantly increased.
Yeah.
And eventually it gets to the point where you are guaranteed
Yeah.
to get one on the next one, and then it essentially rekindles the process and it goes back through it again.
Yeah, so in that scenario, you can get super unlucky for a few camps, not get it, but your chance to get it will approach pretty much 100% because it's pseudo random.
Yeah.
And then when you get it, you could get lucky enough to get it on the next creep
Yes.
right after that,
Yes.
and then it starts over. So every time you get it, that kind of pseudo randomizing starts kind of over back at 0, and then you have the full chance, and then you kill a bunch of creeps, and you get up to okay, we'll give it to you.
I would say that, like, I know, coming from the QA background, that this was something that we looked a lot at, and we were like, all right, do a full jungle clear with Volek and see how quickly you can not only clear a side, but also, like, what's your ending Vim? And we looked at what those ranges were, and it was deemed acceptable, at least at the time. So it's something we can always look at, but, oh, bless your soul.
Sorry, thank you.
But it's something we can always be continuing to look at. I know that it's not necessarily a perfect solution as to what's in place, but I loved the thread. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, it promotes good discussion, high level discussion, and I'm glad that I was browsing the Reddit this morning when I saw this thread, and I was like, oh man, I hope someone went to the Gasty thread and brought it back up and quoted it, and I saw Xairul SC did. So have an upvote, sir. Boom.
Oh, thanks.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Upvote the thread as well.
And I think, at least the last time I checked in on that thread, everyone was very respectful of one another in the conversation. And
of course.
I think generally the community always is, but I always appreciate kind of a semi-controversial topic having a positive conversation. Because it makes it easier to read. I don't have to get sad.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good when a healthy discussion can happen, and it cannot turn into like a flame war or not turn into your opinion is wrong, my opinion is right. Get out of here. You're stupid. You're fat. And just devolve from there.
Really, Brad? You just had to call me fat on stream? Really?
Well, you are on that Diet Coke. So, it's for a reason. I'm very happy to see those threads that have good quality multi-person discussions that just drive conversation. That's what we're looking for. So another thread is this fellow in Mosthop. I didn't even try to pronounce his name before I looked at this. He paid $10 to Extra Life Charity in order to receive a beta key. Still didn't receive it. Just to let you guys know, I wanted to bring this up just to say that all donations that included their email to our Extra Life have been sent out as of 2 days ago. I don't know if we received anything since then, because I think the donations are still open, honestly, for another little while. Yeah. But I will check again today to make sure we haven't received any auxiliary donations. But if you donated before November 11th, the key, and you included your email, your key should have been sent to you 100%. It may be in your spam. I don't know. It comes from like Extra Life, and it says, thank you for your generous donation, and I included in parentheses beta key inside. I made sure to edit each subject line with that.
And if they did not include their email, they can send you a PM, or what's the best way to do it?
If you did not include your email, which there were a couple people that didn't, so we can't get back to you, we apologize about that. You can send an email to community@waystonegames.com. People have been attaching their PDF kind of receipt copy from Extra Life to that email and saying, hey, I didn't get this key yet. This is my name. This is my email. This is how much I donated. I'll go back in the spreadsheet and make sure you're legit. There were some people that were doing that just because they were a little bit impatient, and I don't want to send them multiple keys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
this guy got his key?
This guy got his key.
All right.
You're welcome. Yeah, raise the roof. So resolved. Case resolved right there. I think that is about it for the community wrap-up.
Yeah, it's the usual, tournaments are going on. And
the battle in bot lane, which I watched the other weekend. They were very entertaining.
Yeah.
Apparently Renzo's a beast in 2v2. He's got the heal. He's got the stun. Yeah. He's great. He's really, really good. But I believe I saw, who was it? It was Average Gatsby and Arrows Con Mango take it the other weekend.
Oh,
over Sporesmith and Mianhe. Yeah. Really good match. I think it went to all 5 games, actually, because the final was like a best of 5. Really, really entertaining. So, yeah, there's constantly stuff. Even though we only talked about like 3 or 4 threads on Reddit, the Reddit is a good place. I mean, we're up to almost 4,000 subscribers there.
That'll be
so
exciting.
Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Venor, who runs the thing. He is an amazing mod. Be sure to subscribe to it, reddit.com/r/Dawngate. There's good high-level discussion. There's sweet wallpapers. There's sweet community art. There's posts about the tournaments going on. There's people looking for groups. That was actually another thread that I wanted to point out. I saw, I believe Venor made like a looking for group thread of people that are solo queuing and having that kind of bad experience of, I matched against 5 pre-made, this sucks. He made a thread of people that could come together, get in a group of 5 themselves, and stand a better chance against kind of those pre-made groups. So if you don't have any friends, if your friends haven't gotten keys, or you're kind of the solo kind of, Batman of Dawngate, if you want to get that Justice League together, go check out one of those threads when it comes up. I believe usually on like Wednesdays or Thursdays from Venor. I think he's going to start making that a weekly thing.
Yeah.
And get some bros together and go stomp the Dawngate.
I think we did have a couple of other good threads which we're keeping a close eye on. But RS Flux, one of our gameplay engineers, and obviously Gasty and myself work on matchmaking.
Yes.
So we know obviously a lot of the pains that people are going through. We can tell you that we're adding a lot of logging and we're monitoring people's issues very closely so that we can resolve any of the problematic stuff first, and then we'll be adding in additional functionality and improving the algorithm and all that other stuff. So know that we're working on it actively. How quickly we'll have something out there is dependent upon a lot of factors. So I do not want to give a timeline, but we are actively working on it and we are concerned about it.
Of course.
Hang in there, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're definitely not ones to say, there's no problem, you guys are crazy. Because we understand.
Yeah.
There completely is, and we'll be the first people to admit it.
I queue up at 2 a.m. sometimes, and it's tough to find a match. I know.
It's rough.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's it with the community catch-up. I mean, with the community-centric part of the community catch-up.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about a little bit about BlizzCon and HOTS and stuff like that. So, again, subscribe to the Reddit. reddit.com/r/Dawngate. Great community, almost 4,000 people there, and it's been thriving and growing ever since the beginning of the Dawngate.
Yep.
On to the next topic at hand. Scott Moore spent the weekend at BlizzCon, which I've never been to personally, but it seems like it would be a blast. I've never gotten to go to BlizzCon.
I should I'll try to go out of my way if next year.
Next year?
Next year, if we're all still here working on the Dawngate,
Exactly.
Then I'll try to see if I can get you a ticket.
I would love to. So, the con in a nutshell, it is a Blizzard run, Blizzard hosted, Blizzard centric convention.
Yes.
That's the name, BlizzCon. It's been going, I believe Andy told me, for about 7 or 8 years, since like 2005, 2006.
This was, I think, only like the 4th or 5th one.
Really?
Yeah. And the first one was relatively small, and then they had, I believe, 2 to 3 back-to-back in years, and then they skipped one last year, and then they came back this year. So this is, I think, either the 4th or 5th one.
Okay. But it's where they announce a lot of crazy stuff. They usually talk about new StarCrafts, new WoW, stuff like that. But the biggest thing they wanted to talk about this year was Heroes of the Storm, which is their kind of take on the MOBA genre, or Hero Brawler.
They call it Hero Brawler, yeah.
As they're calling it. You got to get your hands onto it. A lot of people, when they see the announcement trailer for something like Heroes of the Storm, they say, oh, how does this how is this compared to Dawngate? How does this compare to League? They talk about things that are also in the genre. We've felt that exact same thing. When people come and watch Dawngate, they say, how is this like League? How is this different from League or Dota 2? So in your experience, being now a Diamond 1 League player, like a boss, being part of the Dawngate team and getting your hands on Heroes of the Storm, what is your general opinion of it?
I enjoyed it. I was able to get in there right when the doors opened, and instead of going to the main stage to prep for opening ceremony, I was like, I'm gonna hop in the really short line for Heroes, while I know it was still gonna be short. They had a relatively broad selection of heroes to play.
It looked like they had about 16 or something.
I think it was 20.
Oh,
no, sorry, it was 18. We have 20. They have 18, at least right now.
Checkmate.
Checkmate. Gotcha. They had, some characters with mana. They had some characters with, just no resource whatsoever. So I think that they, had some good decisions there. I think the biggest thing that was surprising, to me at least, was they removed that old tome system that they had, and they went to a no item system as well. It's just kind of a talent tree, so you get to, at every couple of levels, pick basically a bonus. So it'd be like, I want 10% more ability power damage, and I want more attack damage on my auto attack. So you had a decent variety of things there, and some of the choices were more interesting than others. But I think it was obviously on the StarCraft engine, so it had a relatively polished feel to it. The art was awesome. Can't give them enough props to their art team, both with the skins side that they had. They showed off some cool skins, but also their game entry flow was very impressive. So it was something that we're looking closely at to see how can we improve. How can we step up our game on Dawngate to match that kind of quality. So they had a really neat 3D kind of like Power Rangers style, where there's like five guys and they're all just kind of like sitting there with their glowy portal, and then they phase shift into the
That's pretty cool.
Into the map. They made a lot of interesting systems decisions, I thought, but I think it's all in their best interest. I think so. They have shared experience, so pretty much the meta I played about 10 games of it. I had a lot of time on Friday, so we would all split. You would all split up. You would want to make sure you've got one person in at least each lane. If there were 2 or 3 lanes, that's how you would do it, and you didn't need the last hit either. So I found myself kind of hanging out a lot. It was cool because you could play. It was almost kind of like getting to play Tactician without playing Tactician, but there was also no. You didn't need to play Tactician because there was no bonus for hitting anybody, and there was no bonus for killing anybody either, other than the XP. So it was like XP was king, but then you didn't have the gold factor going on at all. So that was very interesting. But with that said, it played fast. It played fun. It was. It's always, there's lots of pentakills happening, and there was lots of, I think we had I took a couple of pictures where I was playing with Paradoxic, and we were both like 42 and 2 on our team or something silly like that. And then we had games where we were 2 and 10, and the rest of our team was all like 0 and 15. But you're playing at BlizzCon where not everybody's necessarily like a MOBA player, so it's kind of like the earliest days of matchmaking on Dawngate. It was kind of more, it felt more like custom games on Dawngate, where people would come in and be like, this should be fine. Start. Oh, what have I done? Yeah. So it was fun. It had a little bit of like an ARAM feel to it. So if you've played ARAM in any of those other games, it had a little bit of that feel to it, just because the item purchases and the kills did not feel as important. But yeah, I mean, again, I liked what they were doing. I couldn't see kind of the direction that they're going. It's, I think, different than what we're doing. So I'm looking forward to what they show next.
So are these? You talked about like the talent trees. Are they global?
So I think that just for lack of content, the like max level talents were the same for all of the heroes that you could play. From what I understood and looking at their UI, it appears that probably out of game you're going to be able to shift some points around. So it'll be maybe you have like 6 options at level 1, and you can kind of choose which 3 you want to make available in any given game. And then again, like at level 7, it's like, well, I want to make these 3 out of the 6 available. So if you know you're going to be going maybe a more ability power centric route, you could have one that's a mana choice, one that's a ability power choice, and one that's maybe an activated thing. I don't know exactly, but it was interesting.
And is it 4 3 abilities, 3 hero abilities, and an ultimate? Or?
Yeah, sorry. So that was another thing that was interesting. Is you start at level 1 and you do get all of your abilities, QWE. You don't get your alt. Also, the abilities, from what I understood, were not leveling up. So you just got the points and you never put a point into them. And then there was no item like scaling. It was more like multiplicative factors. So it'd be like, again, like plus 10% ability power, which meant your damages did 10% more. So I don't know if you would consider that scaling. I was looking at more of as like a multiplicative factor, which I thought was interesting. But again, they're early alpha, so they could make a lot of changes between now and the time that they go out. And then the other thing that I did think was really interesting, and props to them for coming up with this idea, but at level 10, you get your alt, and you actually get to choose from one of 2 ultimates. So if you were playing Arthas, you could choose to get like spawn a giant frostworm that does like a line cold attack, or you could get like pulsing area of effect zombie bros that would kill people. I don't know. I mean, everybody had 2 choices, so it'd be like, do you want the sniper attack, or do you want like the area of effect nuke thing? Really cool.
Okay, so did most of them feel like different? Like each ultimate is like, are they both like it's just one damage or the other, or is it like one is a single target nuke and one is like an AOE utility more kind of thing?
Yeah, so like Nova, for example, who's she's a ghost in the StarCraft universe. She had like a triple shot snipe, so almost like Michaela ultimate, or a Caitlyn ultimate, similar to those. Or she could get a global. Hashtag global. She could get a global like area of effect, like delayed nuke. So it would be like I don't know. It would just be like a 2-second primer, and then it would just be like boom in a single cylindrical area. It would just hammer the crap out of that with like uber damage. So a team fight would break out, and you'd just be like, drop the base, and then.
And is there any way to respec those, or is it once you've chosen one?
Once you choose something, you've chosen it. Now maybe they changed their mind on that, but it looked like once you're choosing something, that's kind of how that's going to work.
Okay. Now, what about like, is there any spell book or like spell system? Is there a blink? Is there a flash? Anything like that nature?
There were no spells, but there were some of the talents that you could choose from did have activatables. So instead of getting plus 20 damage, you could get 30% additional damage for 10 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown or something. And then additionally, another big aspect of their game is the PvE factor. So they had 4 different maps that were playable, all with different player versus environment objectives. So you could go collect gold coins and turn them into the pirate man, and he'd shoot your base, or you could
shoot your base. That'd be terrible.
He'd shoot the other guy.
Here's 100 coins. I'm gonna shoot your own base.
And then they had some spirit golem guys and some dragon bros and other things. It was very I think it was very interesting to see, because we tried a lot of the things that they're doing. And obviously that's not the direction that we chose to go in, but I don't want to name any specifics, but there were certain things that they've tried that we have done during our development timeline, and I will be very curious to see what they keep and what they change.
The last thing kind of just rounded out is, it looked like they had like 4 maps. They had like the pirate, they had the mine, stuff like that. aside from thematics, are they all completely unique and different? Like, are lanes different and jungles different? Or is it kind of the same-ish map, just reskinned?
I would say they're all pretty different. Now, fundamentally, you're looking at mostly 2 and 3 lane maps that have a similar layout. None of the map layouts felt extraordinarily different, but they would move where their Zelnaga watchtowers would be. They would move where mercenary camps would be.
Okay.
So they were fundamentally different maps. And then the biggest factor, and again, I was very impressed by their art polish, is that every map felt like a different kind of world. Like one had a very forest vibe, one had a very pirate vibe, you know, and then one had very much like a graveyard golem-y kind of vibe to it. So they did a really good job of having the thematic elements woven in, and I like that. Like, to see what we're doing on our end with improving some of the jungle camps, with the mushroom area, and I don't know if we've gotten everything quite in yet, but we'll have it soon. I'll be there in like 1 minute, Brody. Sorry. To see what we're doing there, I think too, we're also stepping up our visual quality, and it's exciting. So
yeah, it should be a fun game. I know we're all looking forward to it here at the office. Just being, as we've said many times, fans of the genre. We want to play those things. Blizzard almost always has exquisite products. With it, whether you like it or not, it's always very polished. You know, like Diablo 3, I'm not the biggest Diablo fan myself.
I played like 400 plus hours.
I know people love Diablo. Some people hate Diablo. And then even people that love Diablo may not have loved Diablo 3 because maybe it was too far gone from Diablo 2 or the auction house system, blah, blah, blah. We're not here to talk about that. But I'm just saying, even if they don't like Diablo 3, they could probably agree that it is a beautiful looking game and it is well polished. Blizzard always makes really incredible, well polished games, regardless of how, you know, the community may or may not feel about it. So here's the Storm. Final verdict from you. You're looking forward to it, obviously. It thinks it's got some time to grow, obviously being an alpha. Open beta or beta at all, maybe in the next few months, potentially?
I'm guessing they're probably going to be before summer of next year.
Okay.
Would be some form of a beta. Again, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think it's different than what we're doing. So I'm happy to see what it brings to kind of the hero brawler genre.
Don't get is now a hero brawler.
We're going to change. We're a hero brawler now, so I guess.
Yeah, nah. MOBA for life. Okay.
I have to go. I'm going to go work on I'm going to go produce a feature.
He's going to go do features.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to go do
we'll
features.
let you do that so you guys can see sweet features in the future. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for drinking your Diet Coke on stream. He's got one last thing to say, maybe?
I was going to say thanks for having me, Brad.
Of course.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And sitting down after him will be Caleb Neccobus Epps. Mr. Catbus, how are you, sir?
Good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Pete, they can't hear it yet. Clean it off the microphone because there's so many germs and sicknesses going around that you don't want to catch anything, right?
Yeah, it's like the plague out there. I got to stay in my office.
You pretty much always have your little glass door closed. It's less for sound quality and production, and more for just quarantine effect.
Pretty much, yeah.
Every time someone walks in and walks out, I see him spray the Lysol. And everybody's like, oh, gross. And now he's got to sit next to sick me for the next like 20 to 30 minutes. So. Oh, but he loves me. That was such a cat thing to do.
I know.
Like kneading
all
me.
nimbly pimbly.
What did oh God, I already forgot what happened yesterday. Someone called you cat bucks? Cat
bucks? That was you, wasn't it?
Someone called you Necco bucks.
I was
cat dollars.
Cat dollars when I was attacking the money pigs and was paying attention elsewhere and then died. That was pretty fun.
Someone called you cat bucks.
Yeah.
That's cool. The so obviously you've been on stream a couple times, but for people that don't know, this is Caleb Epps, Caleb Neccobus Epps, our audio director here. Interesting enough, you have like an audio themed T-shirt, cell phone, and a cassette?
cell phone versus payphone. This Pluto, you may not remember.
What is this device?
I know,
I don't quite know.
You probably don't know both of these.
Is that like one of these? Is that what this is?
Kinda, yeah.
Like
I remember when StarTacs were like.
Is that what they were called?
It's a Motorola StarTAC,
Oh
and
my
it was
God.
like the first phone that was not like obscenely massive, and they were really thin. My brother had one. They were super thin and like opened up. They were just like so sexy at the
So
time.
cool.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna play a game called Guess Caleb's Age.
What?
No, just kidding.
Uh-huh.
I do remember my dad used to have a giant like car phone, like one of those giant ones that had the it had the numpad like on the back, so you could dial it while it was still kind of hung up and then pick it up.
Yep.
So cool.
And they were like a suitcase. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Anyway, funny story about this T-shirt. Since we're here
Talking
to
about it,
tell
obviously.
here to tell stories. I got this T-shirt for doing this thing called the One Night Band Project. It was in Boston when I used to live at Boston and work at Harmonix. And they would bring in musicians from all over the city. You would meet in the morning at at this club called the Middle East, which is this great nightclub performance space in Cambridge, and we formed ourselves into like 5 or 6 bands. Went out to practice spaces around the city, and then had to come up with 2 originals and a cover in one day, and then came back that night to perform.
Wow, really?
And it was like super crazy because you have all these like rock guys, and I'm like an electronic musician / MC, and like then like these like psych band drummers, and like just mashing up all these genres and like putting all these styles together was really
So
cool.
the important question is, what did you end up covering?
I think we ended up covering Baby Got Back. Randomly,
Incredible.
I didn't front that. Our drummer was like, I know all the lyrics to Baby Got Back.
And you guys
heart.
were like, done.
And we were like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I played keys on that. It was fun.
That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
Andy's saying, Caleb, you spin? DJ Neccobus?
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
ones and twos?
That's actually kind of how I got my start performing. Was when I was in college, just doing parties, and so
nice.
I would just go around. I had like all sorts of dumb DJ names. Let's see, I was DJ Krang originally.
Krang?
Yeah, Krang, like from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's amazing.
I ended up being, for the most of my DJ career, I was Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, that's great. That's a great name.
Yeah, and so I would just go around like probably every other weekend. I would play a party, and I got a little. I still have some of my vinyl. I still have my decks.
Really?
One of my decks is broken.
That's incredible.
But like, I ended up leaving most of my vinyl at Harmonix when I left there, because I was like, I have 8 boxes full of vinyl of like dance hits from, like, dance meaning like electronic dance music, from like 2000 on.
Really?
Like, I don't know if I want to take these with me. So I basically took out all the records that I thought would be interesting for sampling, just like all the old jazz records I've picked up and stuff like that. And then just some records that are important to me, like, first Kraftwerk album, like, stayed with me. And then left the rest of Harmonix.
Interesting.
So they're still there.
I feel like people are making there needs to be a battle between you and Xairul at some point in the future. Apparently he spun.
What?
And he's saying he wants to bring in his See, I should bring my tables in one day.
Oh, yeah, dude. We should totally throw
and
down.
have a community catch up that's just like a spin battle. That'd be dope.
That would be super dope.
Teddy Ruxpin versus
Zwillex?
I don't know.
Zwillex? Yeah.
community catch up's over, guys. It doesn't get any better than that. Zwillex is an incredible. If you don't use Zwillex now, then
Yeah.
the world is pretty much over. So aside from that, let's get more into the
Let's
Dawn
talk
Gate,
about
of
some
course.
Dawn Gate.
Let's talk about the Dawn Gate.
This is a Dawn Gate community catch up.
This is.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Here's the Story for a
Right,
while,
not
so-
enough Dawn Gate.
So let's get to Dawn Gate and voice acting.
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted to talk about. Because we've
Totally,
talked
totally.
about sounds and how you've made certain sounds in the game. But then there's that level, we've seen threads about it. I think there's a Reddit thread going on right now.
What?
About, I saw it the other day, about what's your favorite line.
Oh, yeah, I
in
saw
Dawn
that
Gate.
one
Did you
too.
see
Yeah.
that one?
Uh-huh.
I absolutely loved it. I wish I could find it really, really quickly again.
Anyway.
This is good streaming. So the one of the best things that people talk about our game is the lines, the voice acting, the banter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They absolutely love. Zeri obviously is a hit. People love Zeri because she's
couldn't?
adorable. People love Renzo because
Yep.
he's just bonkers.
Yep.
How have you gone about to find? What's the process of finding the perfect voice actor or actress? out there?
Sure. Well, basically, sort of what we do is we put together a a sort of casting sheet, which basically has, I usually come up with some obfuscated name for the character, especially when we were unannounced and stuff like that. Now it's sort of a little less necessary, but
Yeah, sometimes in the shaper, like in the fan site kit for a little while, I've since changed this practice, but in our game files, we still have them as like Vex is still like creature,
right.
and like Reyna is still like the archivist, you know. So like we have these funny little
Pet names,
names and descriptions.
not to mention the names like in the code to which they are referred to.
It's even
like,
crazier?
Yeah, it's a little, PC underscore or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, so basically we put together a sheet that's like, here's this character's name, here's their gender, age, accent, if necessary. Well, even if not necessary, you can be like neutral American, haha. And then a few qualities of that character, and then some sample lines. So that would be, we usually do I try to get sort of a few of the longer lines in the script, maybe sort of like scoop a chunk out of a longer piece that Chris has written, and then send that out and let the auditions roll in. We usually get somewhere around 100 so auditions.
Really?
Yeah. Now it's sort of a little bit less because we're being a little bit more targeted about, and I also, I'm starting to build relationships with voice actors. Coming in, this was like my first West Coast gig, and I'm like, I don't know any of the voice actors out here. There are so many, aside from the famous ones, obviously, who I don't know personally, but who I just would fanboy out over. But yeah, I would get auditions back, and then I sit down and listen to every actor, actress read these lines, and then I whittle that down to usually about 3 or 4, and then I sit in with like Hunter and Dave, and we sort of talk about who we like, and sometimes I bring in Dibs and bring in Chris and
Get
stuff
some more
like that.
feedback.
Get some more feedback. Make sure that we're all agreed. Yes, this is the one. It's really just a case of who can sort of make that character manifest in as little time as possible, who can imbue these very sort of abstract short little lines with some amount of heart and character. Basically, if I listen to a voice audition and I get the feels, if I feel something, and if it like makes me feel sad or makes me feel like sort of joyful and happy or whatever, like then...
If your heart grows 2 sizes too big.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a non-Grinch moment.
Yeah. Then they, I know that that's like a good pick. So it's weird. It's like, you think about like, okay, what makes a good voice audition? It's hard to say because it really is about just sort of, do I get an emotional reaction there? Okay. And I want, you want voiceover to deliver an emotional reaction with every single line.
So has there been anyone that in that first kind of initial, like let's say 130, or that initial big kind of shotgun blast of people that you said, this is the voice?
Wait, how do you mean?
Like, so you said when you send out that first kind of small script to a bunch of people, and you get a bunch of applicants, you get a bunch of auditions, tryouts, stuff like that. Has there been one so far that you said, I just heard this voice and this is Zary's voice?
It's like overdone.
Yeah.
No, because I'd like to be hem and haw
a little bit more democratic and a little bit more.
Well, there's never a case where there's somebody who I've been like super gung-ho on where we haven't cast that person, but I always like to be like, okay, I'm all these people are like good, they go in a bucket. Okay, I really like this person, and then like whittle it down even more. It's like I still really like this person, but I like to sleep on it, come back to it. Whenever with any audio, I usually like to like do something and then come back to it. And if I still like it, then it's like right. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the process. It's like you get audition. Like I got like Megan Hollingshead's audition for like Zeri, and I was like, okay, it's like I'm like this is kind of over. That was probably the closest where it was like, yeah, her, this okay, yeah. Where there was a big delta, she just totally killed it.
Interesting. Yeah. Now about the sessions themselves, because what people maybe ignorant about, whether it's movies or music or what have you, to get something right, I'm sure it takes hundreds of tries, if not many, many more.
Like what's like
what is the process
for like zeroing in on that? Well, yeah, I mean we have we usually go into the studio and sort of workshop one small bit of dialogue. If anybody is a backer for Double Fine Adventure, for Broken Age, I was actually just watching their latest episode. Is like all in VO sessions.
Really?
It's like 90% VO sessions, and you can see actually like Jack Black doing this for the character he's playing. You basically go in and we workshop a small piece and just try to like chip, and then get the character and try to get that locked in.
Okay.
Do a few takes of that, and then roll through the whole script.
Okay.
Just like really, once we get going, like voice actors are so amazing, and great voice actors are just like
they can stick to it.
Yeah, they can
it's
stick
like
to
we
it.
need that barely northeastern British accent coupled with a little cynicism.
Right,
and they're just
exactly.
Like, they get it down, and they're like, and you're like, perfect. And they're like, okay, I've got
let's
the
roll.
setting dialed
Yeah,
in.
exactly. So
Perfect.
it's really just about getting it dialed in on one thing, and then you just roll. And it's really my job to obviously like put make the actors feel comfortable, create a creative environment that's sort of when everyone's having fun in the studio, it's always best. And then just keep it rolling and make sure to keep correcting them back if they're straying from what I want out of a line. If I'm not getting some lines I sort of read in my head and I sort of hear it read a particular way, so I'll suggest having it read that way. It's really just about sort of following my intuition while we're in the studio, and if I like to sort of always give the actors creative space. So if they come and I have an idea for a line in my head, they do something better, and I'm like, sweet, that's better.
Got it.
And if they do something that I like a little less than the idea that was in my head, I can direct them towards that idea instead. So.
Now, with the voice acting and with audio and any kind of video editing as well, a lot of stuff can hit the cutting room floor and kind of never see the light of day. Are there any kind of gems out there that are just like, man, I kind of wish this had made it, or I kind of wish this had found a place, or anything like that?
Not a ton of stuff so far. There's a bunch of stuff that the cool thing about sort of the live service nature of our game as opposed to being a box product is it stuff that hits the cutting room floor just sort of gets filed away, and like you're just sort of like, maybe this will find a place later. So there's still a lot of stuff, a lot of VO stuff that we have yet to sort of find a place for and implement. So even in the sessions that we've already done, let alone the sessions that we have upcoming, there's still a lot of stuff that still has to go into the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like anything that like.
I know one that I really enjoyed that you told me about.
Which one was that?
The Vex one.
Which
the Vex joke.
Oh, that's a good story actually. It was only like a little portion of one of his joke lines that I pulled out. He has a joke that goes like, bird, squirrel, and cat walk into Vex's mouth. Vex eats them.
Great impression, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty spot on.
Vex. Good.
But originally, Anthony Hansen, who plays Vex, he had started the line. He just ad-libbed this thing that just started, "Stop me if heard. Bird, squirrel, and cat walk into Vex's mouth." And it was like totally hilarious at the time. And then sort of as I lived with it in the game for a little while, I was like, this is like a little too fourth wall, and a little too sort of like standard Earth humor, as opposed to sort of like what would be. It just referenced stand-up comedy a little too much.
Okay.
And so I pulled that out. And that was just like a purely aesthetic choice on my part. But it was totally hilarious at the time.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like, what's funny and right for Dawngate, because, this is these aren't, these are characters that are sort of, they're not just being plonked down on this battlefield. Like, we always consider them as, like, they are actively living their stories, and so they are, I want them to always seem real.
Excuse me. Now, with the banter system, I think Andy just brought this up in the chat, but there's also room for some kind of Easter eggs to be thrown in as well.
Totally,
he just mentioned the kind of Kel-Vex interaction,
Shepherd,
which I love absolutely. Yeah. I know Chris Latois is partially or ultimately responsible for writing all those lines and stuff like that, and of course, being a former Mass Effect 2 writer and such, he's able to sneak some of those in. I believe someone's flirt is I've got both reach and flexibility.
Yeah, which is a Garrus.
It's a Garrus line. Whose flirt is that?
Reyna.
Reyna. Okay, I got both reach and flexibility. So,
there's actually one that didn't come from Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one that actually came from DLS.
Okay.
So DLS, we were hanging out and we were starting to initially hook up the banter system, and DLS was like, "Oh, it would be really funny if somebody talked about Kel's sheep and wondering whether it's a spoffit, which are these little sheepy guys in Spore."
Okay.
And so Chris just stuck that in the script.
Just wrote it in.
Yeah. And so that was sort of another little funny Easter egg. One thing I do need to do, it reminds me of in terms of how the code works, is I need to go in and make those rare.
There's
way more rare than they are now, because right now they, if you stick a Kel and a Vex in a lane together on the same team, they will totally be like Shepherd, Vex. Yeah. And I want that to be a little bit more rare. But right now, we're in beta and we're not sort of amortizing those Easter eggs over thousands and thousands and thousands of games. So it's okay for now, but I will go in and make them super, super rare.
Yeah, I know that was another kind of audio issue for you at one point in time where jokes were not properly randomizing.
Right, yeah, jokes were using a standard randomizer. So if you think about, a standard random number generator is just gonna essentially roll a die, right? And so there's equal probability of getting any response from the random number generator anytime it rolls. The problem for audio, and especially for VO, is that you don't really want...
you don't want to have a chance to hear the same thing over and over.
Exactly. So you want to use what's called a shuffle randomizer or a jukebox randomizer that also has some intelligence about repeating lines. So a shuffle randomizer it acts like a jukebox. It will play all the things before it then goes back and plays things again.
Yeah.
So it will sort of randomly pick through those things, but always, if something hasn't been played before, it will always choose that over something else.
I see.
And then it starts going back, and then, in Wise, the middleware we use, that it has all that logic built in. But the flirts and the emotes, because we wanted to build a system where if you say an emote for, that everybody hears the same emote. If we just use the internal Wise randomization system, every client would get an audio event. Sorry, I'm getting super technical here, but I'm gonna get super technical.
It's okay. We've already had DLS.
Roll with me. Right, exactly. So basically, a flirt happens. You type /flirt, and if we were using the standard Wise system, that would just send an audio event out to all clients that says, this character flirt. And then it would, for each client, randomly pick from their list of flirts or jokes or whatever. That's fine, and you see that happening in lots of different games. But because we wanted to set up a system where I say a flirt, and you have that funny moment of everybody making sure that everybody hears the same thing,
so they can all laugh and joke,
right, and react to it react to the same thing as opposed to just I heard a random joke, haha.
So 9 people. You don't want 9 people to hear Rinzo's nipples can cut glass,
right?
And that last person to hear something different,
exactly.
And everyone be laughing about nipples cutting glass. That one
other person is like, "What?
You guys are crazy!"
Right? Exactly. So we moved the way that we trigger emotes into code. And so they were being randomized in code, and the initial implementation was just like simple random number generator. But the problem is that means that you can get repeats. So we've moved to a jukebox randomizer system, way better, and we've also added the functionality to have sequential emotes as well. So you look at somebody like Desecrator, he sings
a song.
He sings bits of his song, and so as you continue to use that emote, he'll sing through the 3 bits of the song, which is
rather
great.
than singing 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. So the last 2 things I wanted to ask. Number one, I brought up with Scott just as a joke, but I'm kind of interested in it. How interesting is it? Because there's the normal lines, there's the flirts, there's the taunts, there's the emotes, and then there's also the death sounds, the grunts, the kind of unpleasanter sounds, I guess you would say, that aren't spoken word. It's like, I want you to pretend like you're getting shot with a gun, and there's like, ugh, like how do you bring that out in a voice actor, and how strange or amazing are those sections?
They're they're great. They always make me a little uncomfortable. I don't know why, sitting in the booth there and having people being like, ah! But basically the way that we do it is we sort of have a set number of audio events that we need to fill, and then I basically ask the actors to do like 2 or 3 takes of each for each of those audio events, and we basically do them in rising intensity. I also always ask the actors if they want to if there's something that's particularly vocally stressful, like Courtney Taylor. I talked with her. I was like, for Xairul, basically you screaming at the top of your lungs, where do you want to put this in the session? And she was like, oh, let's do that last, so I can just like
go all out,
totally blow my lungs out, and like I don't have another session booked for a couple of days. I can have time to recover.
That's awesome.
So and then
rather than let's start with blowing your lungs out,
right, or just like following the script numerically, we just sort of shunt it around. The scripts, big spreadsheets. I'm prepping for. Tomorrow. I'm going down to LA to do another voice session.
I've heard.
So my life is spreadsheets right now. VO reacts, as we call them in general, are they're fun, but they always make me feel uncomfortable. And usually, sometimes they will need some direction of just like, oh, let's like take it down shorter. Usually the sort of biggest problem is like, people tend to want to make these reactions quite long, and sometimes that's appropriate. Like for, if Renzo is dying, like he's going to sort of like
I love Zalgus
draw it out, right? They're like yeah, like unto a dying swan.
Yeah.
So for those characters, it's super appropriate, but that makes gameplay feedback sometimes a little bit difficult because you want to know immediately that you've killed somebody. So sometimes I add an additional sort of audio layer of just like an initial like pain VO react that's pulled from the bank that plays directly to the client when you take a significant amount of damage. Most people the other players actually don't hear that, but you'll hear your character grunt or wince or say a line in your ears if you take a significant amount of damage. It's the same for like move command audio. That's just for you as opposed to being broadcast. Either spatially like ability sounds or in everybody's ears like ping sounds. Sometimes, but that's sort of usually the amount of direction that it requires. It's like, oh, can we do it a little shorter, a little higher intensity, a little lower intensity, and then just let the amazingly talented people that we
just go to town,
bring into the studio to give life to our characters, go to town.
And then the last question, it has to do with kind of our banter system specifically. Is let's say Varian, one of the first shapers we released, maybe the first shaper I think we released. I think he was number 13. He's got VO, obviously. He's got banter with Michaela, stuff like that. Let's say a new shaper is coming out.
Right.
That also is supposed to have banter with him.
Yep.
How crazy is it for you to have to now kind of reapproach that actor and say, hey, we need 1 or 2 more lines for you? Is that going to be in the future, or are you going to kind of just leave those waters untreaded?
No, I mean, I guess you're given me a slow pitch to make a cool announcement, I guess, that I'm comfortable announcing, provided that like Los Angeles doesn't blow up tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully not.
We're starting tomorrow to start to bring our voice actors back in to add some more lines to the banter system. It's not something that's going to roll in like immediately, because oftentimes there's responses required and we have to get other actors or actresses back in. But the general idea is that we will continue to refresh the banter system over time, and we'll continue to add to that, expand it, change it, and that'll be really cool. It's something I'm really excited about. Yeah. So yeah, we're going back into the studio with Matt Mercer and Megan Hollingshead while I'm down there.
Who did Xairul,
McKella, and Varian and Fenmore. And so that'll be exciting. I'm really excited to see them again. We had like a wonderful time in the studio last time, and I'm really psyched for what we're gonna do over the next couple of days.
Yeah, it should be a blast. I'm excited to hear the product. It's always a blast to go by Caleb's office and Andrea's office and see what new thing they're working on. Yeah. We've just heard a lot of splurchy sound effects coming from Andrea's office lately.
A lot of splorches,
which is
of
really awesome.
Yeah, gore, and in a sort of different vein than Vex. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be exciting.
It's a little bit more
teasers,
fleshy and splurchy, and
yeah,
I'm just excited for it. It's going to be really fun. We're just going to tease you for the next few minutes. Actually, no, we're going to end it. Thanks again for watching the Community Catch-Up. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/thedawngate, facebook.com/thedawngate. Yep. Follow the stream down below. Andy has been in the chat silently giving away keys the whole time.
Which is always awesome.
Yeah, and the only way to have been eligible to get one is to have been following the channel. So if you didn't follow the channel, follow it now and tune in tomorrow. We'll be streaming live from the office some of our Dawngate beta gameplay, probably from about 12 to 6, I think, on this computer, depending on Andy's feeling tomorrow if he's here in the office. And then Friday as well, and usually Saturday from home, and usually Sunday from home. We stream pretty much all the time. So follow the channel. You get email updates whenever we go live, and you'll be able to get keys during those times. It's been pretty easy. We've been handing out keys like candy. It's as if we want you to play the game.
Amazing.
I know.
Well, it's as if we're really proud of this thing.
Exactly. But thank you so much, Caleb, for coming on. I appreciate it. The last minute get together of the voice actors. Good luck tomorrow in Los Angeles. Hopefully safe travels. Hope everything goes well. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Follow the stream and raise your dongers.